In this video, we're going to explore the HTML division element. The division element is used as a container for other HTML elements. Let's learn how to use it effectively. The division element is a generic container that groups content together. It has no semantic meaning, but it is valuable for organizing content, applying styles with cascading style sheets, also known as CSS, and manipulating groups with JavaScript. Here are some examples of the division element syntax. The first example shows the basic division syntax, where a heading 2 and a paragraph are enclosed within the opening and closing division tags. The second example shows how to use the division element with attributes. Here we have added class attribute with a value container and an identifier attribute with a value main. Let's look at a basic example of how to use the division element. On the left, we have the code where a division element is created with inline styling for background color, border, and padding. Inside this division, there is a heading 2 element with its own inline styling for color, and a paragraph element with some text. On the right, we can see the result of this code. The division element acts as a container, grouping the heading and paragraph together. Note that the division has no visual impact by itself. It needs CSS to be styled. It's a block-level element that starts on a new line and takes up the full width available. While division can use global HTML attributes, these are most commonly used. The class attribute assigns CSS classes for styling. The identifier attribute provides a unique identifier. The style attribute applies inline CSS styles, and data asterisk are custom data attributes. Here are some examples of how to use these attributes. The first example shows how to use the class attribute. The second example shows how to use the identifier attribute. The third example shows how to use the style attribute, and the fourth example shows how to use the data attribute. The division element can be used to create page layouts. Here's a basic example of a page structure using divisions. The code on the left shows the basic structure of a web page, with a header, content area, sidebar, main content area, and footer, each wrapped in division elements with corresponding class names. The visual layout on the right shows how these divisions are arranged to create a typical web page layout. The header spans the top, followed by a content area that is split into a sidebar and a main content section. Finally, the footer sits at the bottom. The division element is often used with CSS Flexbox and Grid to create complex layouts. In this example, we will see how divisions can be used with Flexbox and Grid. On the left, we have the code for a Flexbox example and a CSS Grid example. The Flexbox example creates a container with 3 items arranged horizontally. The CSS Grid example creates a container with 3 items arranged in a grid layout. On the right, we can see the result of this code. The Flexbox items are displayed in a row, while the grid items are displayed in a grid. Let's compare division elements with semantic elements. Division element is a generic container with no semantic meaning. We should use it when no specific semantic element fits, and purely for styling and layout purposes. It is also less meaningful for accessibility tools. On the other hand, semantic elements such as header, navigation, main, section, article, and footer provide meaning to the structure of a web page. Best practice is to use semantic HTML elements when they match the content's purpose. Reserve division for when no semantic element is appropriate or for styling purposes only. This improves accessibility, search engine optimization, also known as SEO, and code readability. Here are some best practices for using the division element. On the left is an example of good and bad practices. The good practice involves using meaningful class names such as product card, product image, and product info. The bad practice involves excessive use of divisions. Here are some best practices to keep in mind. Use semantic elements when possible. Give meaningful class names that describe the purpose. Avoid excessive nesting of division elements. Use CSS Grid or Flexbox for complex layouts. Keep HTML structure clean and minimal, and consider accessibility when structuring content. Let's summarize what we've learned about the HTML division element. Key concepts include the division being a generic container element with no semantic meaning, it is a block-level element, and it groups content for styling. Common uses include page layouts, content grouping, CSS styling hooks, and JavaScript manipulation. Best practices include using semantic elements when possible, using meaningful class names, avoiding excessive nesting, and considering accessibility. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.